Well, this video or clip is all about alcoholism. There are many things to speak on alcoholism, and I'll just be brief on every point. Let me start with some definitions, key definitions to alcoholism. First of all, there is the definition about sobriety. What is sobriety? Sobriety, it means a moderation in any kind of drink. It is the reasonable drinking of alcohol. I call it reasonable because it corresponds to the intention of the society in drinking alcohol, as well the demands of the body of the person who drinks alcohol. Teetotalism. Teetotalism means no drinking alcohol at all. Inebriety. Inebriety means getting drunkard, which means but for a given time, a moment. This inebriety means that a person gets drunk, he cannot control he cannot have power over his reason, and he cannot is disposed to sin. Tomorrow evils. That is inebriety. Inebriety is different from alcoholism because alcoholism alcoholism is chronic. It occurs repeated over several times. A person gets drunk, but for many days, many years. Yeah, for largest part of his life. That is alcoholism. Then after that, let us see the biblical outlook on the use of alcohol. Actually, the Bible speaks of the moderation as the best disposition for using alcohol. Moderation. And it goes as far as saying that it speaks of course, also the positive use of alcohol and the negative use of alcohol. As positively, the Bible considers alcohol as a gift. And in the New Testament, alcohol is spoken of as wine, which was used by Jesus for transubstantiation, and also wine, which is spoken of in the Feast of Cana, and wine, which is also spoken of as the drug for the earth by Paul when he speaks to Timothy. Yeah, positively, that's how we consider alcohol. But negatively, alcohol is considered as cause of evil when it leads to drunkenness. And the father of the church speaks about moderation as the best remedy for using alcohol. Now let us see the morality of on the use of alcohol. When we speak about the morality of the use of alcohol, we have to make a distinction about three things. First of all, there is a moderate and occasional use of alcohol, which responds exactly to sobriety. And there is also immoderate and the occasional use of alcohol. This is immoderate, which means that the person drinks it, but he gets drunkard for that occasion of drinking it. And so it corresponds direct to inebriety. Immoderate and habitual use of alcohol, this is actually totally alcoholism per se. Immoderate and habitual use of alcohol is alcoholism per se, but immoderate and occasional use is inebriety, and immoderate and occasional use corresponds to sobriety. Let us continue. Let us speak about the abuse of alcohol. What is abuse of alcohol? The abuse of alcohol means the misuse of alcohol, which means one uses alcohol, but without even considering the intentions of the society, and without considering also the needs of the body, which means it does not use alcohol correspondingly to the needs and demands. Yeah. Now there is a difference between alcoholism and deliberate use of alcohol, deliberate abuse of alcohol. Alcoholism is something which is habitual, but deliberate abuse of alcohol occurs in a given occasion, a given time. Let us see the causes of alcoholism. What are the causes of alcoholism? There are three causes of alcoholism. The first one, this is the physiological cause. Physiological cause, actually, it's a bit doubted, but it says that someone in the biochemistry of a person, maybe a person may have a genetic composition, which leads him or pushes him to be drunkard. But it is doubtful. There is a psychological cause. This psychological cause is about the unstableness of the person's emotions, person's soul, due to guilt, fear, and loneliness in the soul. That is the psychological cause. And the social cultural influence means that one drinks alcohol because it needs to conform to the society, to their peers, to the peer pressures. See, so we have three causes of alcohol. Now, there is a need to understand what an alcoholic is not. What an alcoholic is not. An alcoholic, meaning a person. Person is not an alcoholic when he drinks too much alcohol. Remember, I told you that alcoholism is something which is steady, something which occurs as an habit. So a person is not an alcoholic because he has taken much alcohol. Secondly, a person is not an alcoholic because he is drunk for a given time. Remember the issue of inebriety. A person is not an alcoholic if he does not stop drinking alcohol. So if a person continues drinking alcohol, he doesn't stop, that does not mean that he's an alcoholic. This is purposefully said about an alcoholic because the society has to know who is an alcoholic and who is not. Nobody should condemn the person who is not an alcoholic as an alcoholic. Now, who is an alcoholic? An alcoholic is regarded as an alcoholic because of two things. First of all, alcohol has interfered with everything, every duty, every action, every responsibility in his life. He has no willpower of alcohol. He can't stop taking alcohol because he can't. He has no, his willpower is already weakened. That's the first thing. Second thing is that alcohol has caused damage to his society due to his action of taking in alcohol. Now the society has got damages. The family is not stable. Development has regressed. No development at all because of alcohol. So those two things, to himself, to the society. Now, what are the symptoms of a person being alcoholic? Which symptoms do indicate that a person is an alcoholic? There are three. That is, first of all, alcoholism has to be something which is habitual in his life, characterized by excessiveness in taking alcohol and compulsiveness. He cannot live without alcohol. Compulsiveness in taking alcohol and distractiveness of alcohol to his health and the society at large. When a person depends on alcohol as something to remove, to make him emotionally stable, something to stimulate his energy, in such a way that he drinks alcohol without even tolerating, he drinks alcohol, mixing drinks, he drinks alcohol, hiding, he takes alcohol as a medicine, and is emotionally unstable due to alcohol. That means he has got the symptoms of being an alcoholic. Now, after having known the symptoms of an alcoholic, let us see the classification of alcoholics. This is the classification of alcoholics, which means we classify people who are alcoholic. First of all, based on the social effect, how they have been affected socially with alcohol, and physical effects, based on how they have been affected by alcohol physically. Let us start with the social effect. Depending on the social effect, we have got three classifications or classes: low, bottom, or skid row alcoholics. These people are totally neglected by society. They live just on the alcohol. No one cares about them. We have high bottom, steady alcoholics. These are alcoholics, which means they are sick, but the society still protects them. And then we have high bottom, periodic alcoholics. High bottom, periodic alcoholics, these are the ones. They drink alcohol, and they're alcoholic, but not constantly. They're affected by alcohol for sometimes, but sometimes they are good, sometimes they are not good. Yeah. Now, let us speak about the reasons for falling back into alcoholism by these people who are classified as high bottom periodic alcoholics. First of all, periodic are personal crisis. Personal crisis, when a person gets problems, he can return to drinking alcohol. And when he gets a professional crisis, a mistake in his profession, he can turn to drink alcohol. When he gets a situation crisis, for instance, there is a rejection, racial segregation, he can turn back to alcohol. And when there is a psychological crisis, he can turn back to alcohol. Remember, these reasons are given to show you that what makes the high bottom periodic alcoholic turn back to alcohol. Now, those are the classification based on the social effects. Let us see the classification based on the physical effects. Here we have alpha alcoholics. Alpha alcoholics, these people actually depend on alcohol, but they have not yet got the physical damage due to alcohol. Beta alcoholics, these have got physical dependence on alcohol, but now the diseases, the physical damages have started attacking them. The diseases arising due to alcohol. Those are beta alcoholics. Now gamma alcoholics, these actually depend on alcohol, not for the sake of depending on alcohol for just stimulation and energy, no, but they are looking for the peak experience in alcohol, to the extent that their bodily disintegration occurs at a fastest rate. So they have got a fastest rate of destruction of the body. Delta plateau alcoholics. These delta plateau alcoholics, these actually don't even look for the peak experience in alcohol, but they just look for the influence of alcohol in all their lives. These are regarded as delta plateau alcoholic. Let us speak about the effects of alcoholism now. Now we have finished the physical effects. As you can see, the physical effects actually, as we talk, as the person moves from being alpha, beta, gamma, delta, that means the physical effects do increase too. Now let us speak about effects of alcoholism. Alcoholism actually affects the health of a person, affects the way of his outlook in life in such a way that it disposes him to make crimes, disposes him to make more sins, and so on and so on. Finally, let us speak about the personality of the alcoholic. Actually, anybody who is an alcoholic can be seen in this with the following features or characteristics. The first one, they have low tension tolerance, which means they cannot cope with their own problems. Second is they are always angry, which means they can be, due to frustrations, anger arises out of nowhere. Due to frustrations, they are angry. And also they have got impulse disorder, which means they cannot control any impulse. Any impulse which arises from their body, it must be satisfied because they can't control. And fourthly and lastly, they have got the conflict within themselves, that conflict between the feeling of omnipotence and the feeling of inferiority. Now, that's over. Let us speak about alcoholic as a disease and a moral problem. Alcoholic is regarded as a disease based on three things. First one, the abnormality in drinking. If a person drinks abnormally, that is a disease. And after that, if considering the outlook, the disposition of an alcoholic, that is also a disease. And also considering his conduct, how he acts, that's also a disease. So it is a disease in three times. First of all, drinking abnormally. Secondly, outlook, perspectives, the way of thinking is a disease. And thirdly, that way of living, conducting oneself. Now that is a disease. Alcohol as a disease, that's all we can speak on it. Let us speak on moral deterioration and spiritual deterioration. No, let us speak on alcohol as a moral problem. Alcohol is a moral problem because it causes the moral deterioration and the spiritual deterioration. The moral deterioration means that all the virtues are lost by an alcoholic, starting with humility, coming to honesty, and speak about purity. All these virtues are lost. That is the moral deterioration. But the spiritual deterioration, that means that spiritual connection of an alcoholic with God is a bit shaken. An alcoholic may end up even rejecting God. That's why we speak of an alcoholism as a moral problem. Spiritual deterioration and moral deterioration. Now, having said this, this doesn't mean that alcoholism is just a disease which is incurable. No, Alcoholism is curable. We have the hope, we have the remedies, and we have a pastor note for alcoholism. First of all, the difficulty in curing alcoholism, the alcoholic himself cannot accept the situation to say that I have a problem. And now a solution is to make him or her accept that this alcoholism is a problem. Then after that, we have to train him or her to abstain. If he manages to abstain, that means he will have got the willpower strengthened. If his willpower is strengthened, that means at the end of the day, he will stop drinking. By the way, he or she should be connected to God. We have to connect him to God in a given way, in a special way, so that God can help him. Question of the willpower needs the sense of God. Get me? Now after that, we have to speak about the pastor's attitude towards alcoholism. In preaching, the pastor shouldn't make judgments on the alcoholics because they won't be ready to come to him for help. In confession, he should speak with compassion to them so as to show them that he is with them in this problem, he can help them. And also in pastoral activities, during his pastoral activities, the preacher or the pastor should be friendly, should be a person who can welcome people, who is approachable, so that he can help them. And of course, now what should a pastor do when he discovers that one of his faithful is drunk? Of course, he shouldn't go to attack him, but he should go to him and create an environment which will be conducive in such a way that it will make the alcoholic himself come out of a situation and realize that he has a problem and seek help. And finally, but not least, we have got the signs of hope. Today, as far as the physical and the mental health, there are many hospitals dealing with the problem of alcoholism. This is the sign of hope. And as far as the moral and the spiritual help, today, many priests, many pastors are taking the initiatives to help the alcoholics. This is a sign of hope. And today, there are associations or groups of people called Alcoholic Anonymous, where a person who is alcoholic gets there so as to collaborate with other people who have achieved to get out of the problem of alcoholism and finally be cured. So there is a sign of hope. Don't lose hope. God is working with us, and we are going to come out with a solution for this problem, which is eating the whole world at large. Thank you for listening. That's all I could say about alcoholism. I wish you the best. For the thing that you didn't understand, please ask me. I'm ready to answer you.